What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. So, Conor Benn, British superstar title contender, got a big fight coming up next Saturday, a rematch with their family rival, the Eubanks. So he's going to rematch Chris Eubanks Jr., who his father, Nigel Benn, had 2 fights with Chris Eubanks Sr., right? So they got a family rivalry going on. They resumed it, and it lived up to the billing. They had their fight, and it was entertaining. But there's a major size difference. You can clearly see there's a major size difference between Conor Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr. Nonetheless, they faced off against each other, right? And Conor Benn lost. And now they had a face-off to which Conor Benn alluded to Chris Eubanks that win, lose, or draw, I'm going back down to 147 and I'm going to fight for a title. You holding up my title plans at 147, right? But I already signed, my fight is already signed and completed to have a title fight at 147 after this fight, win, lose, or draw. Now, this is no slight to Conor Benn, because I like Conor Benn and I think he's a very good fighter. But it's just, he has a size disadvantage, and his style doesn't match well with the style of Chris Eubanks, right? So he's asking for a rematch clause and things of that nature. And Chris Eubanks said, why you need a rehydration clause and things of that nature, where you saw Terrence Crawford just fought Canelo Alvarez and he didn't have a rehydration clause and catch weights. So Conor Benn is 23 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 14 wins by way of knockout, 29 years of age. But he's like 5'8", with a 70-inch arm reach, right? They fought in April of 2025 this year, and Chris Eubanks won a unanimous decision. Chris Eubanks is 35 wins, 3 losses, no draws, 25 wins by way of knockout, right? But he's about 6 feet tall. He got like a 73-inch arm reach, and he's just naturally a bigger guy. He just is, right? It puts me in the mindset of, if you guys remember, so they're going to fight next Saturday, November 15th. But this fight puts me in the mindset of when Shane Mosley fought against Winky Wright and Vernon Forrest, right? And he moved up in weight, and he just couldn't compete against him. They simply was just too big, right? So his power didn't translate, his speed didn't translate, it didn't affect them at all whatsoever, right? And it's very similar. When you watch Conor Benn fight Chris Eubanks, it looks very similar to those fights, right? His power and his speed doesn't translate because he just has no effect on Chris Eubanks. He just doesn't. He can't affect Chris Eubanks. He just doesn't have the power to do so. So with that said, he alludes to a fight and a deal being done with a rival at 147, which indicates to me that if all goes well, we could see a fight that he wants and this other gentleman wants, undefeated 2-division champion, former undisputed lightweight and former WBC junior welterweight, Devin the Dream Haney, right? He could possibly fight Devin Haney, and or if Devin Haney beats Brian Norman, and or if Brian Norman beats Devin Haney, we could see Brian Norman versus Conor Benn. Because the WBA is tied up with Rolly Romero. He got a mandatory, he got fights lined up. Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn could possibly fight. right? They don't have a real rivalry, right? Him and Devin Haney have been going back and forth for a while now, right? For whatever reason. They've been going back and forth for a while. Mario Barrios has the WBC. He's going to fight Ryan Garcia for the WBC title. That's going to be an interesting fight. Then you have who has the IBF? You have Devin Haney, Brian Norman for the WBO. You have the WBA with Rolly. You have Mario Barrios with the WBC. I think the IBF is vacant, so maybe he could fight for the vacant IBF title, right? Interesting enough, he's saying that he got a deal already done, right? That's what he's saying. He got a deal already done. So this is going to be interesting to see who he fights. He says win, lose, or draw. Okay? Win, lose, or draw, he says that he has, he has a fight lined up. Now, it could be seeing that Lewis Crocker. So the WBO is obviously Brian Norman. The IBF welterweight is Lewis Crocker. I didn't even know he was the champion. So Lewis Crocker is the IBF welterweight champion. Mario Barrios is the WBC. And the WBA is Rolly. So Lewis Crocker will more than likely get the opportunity to fight. Well, he'll fight Lewis Crocker, right? And pick up a belt. Because that's the easier route. But he says against his rival. So that ain't a rival. Unless Lewis Crocker happens to be a rival. But he's not a rival. So Lewis Crocker is 22 wins. No losses, no draws. So I guess he can fight Lewis Crocker and fight for that IBF title, but I don't know if he want to go that route because the IBF has a 10-pound rehydration clause. And most fighters try to avoid the IBF being solely the belt that they fight for because it has that rule. 10-pound rehydration clause the next day after the weigh-in. So if you do go to a different route, you can do the unification bouts, and it eliminates the IBF 10-pound rehydration rule. It overrides that. So that's the route he would need to go. But I would love to see Conor Benn versus Devin Haney or Brian Norman. I would love to see Conor Benn versus Rolly Romero. That would be exciting. And Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. Lewis Crocker and Mario Barrios, not so much. Not so much. But let me know what y'all think, man. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.